Well, I hope you're getting your taxes done. On Saturday, April 12th, we have our classical concert at 8 p.m. The evening before, we continue the Rush Hour AMICA series at 6:30. Oh gosh, I love this program so much because one of the main reasons is I get to collaborate with one of my best friends, Bob Levin, perhaps the greatest classical pianist of Mozart, Beethoven, Haydn in the world today, will join us for Mozart's 20th Concerto. Bob has been with us a few times, but not for a long, long time. We're so glad to have him on this Mozart. Interestingly, the last time, the 20th Concerto of Mozart, he only wrote 21, was performed by the Rhode Island Philharmonic was on the 23rd of November, 1963. Of course, many of you remember that day, and particularly the day preceding Kennedy's assassination. What a remarkable thing that we bring the piece back with Robert. He will improvise it like a jazz pianist. As you know, he makes up his cadenzas, he adds notes all over, so it's really Mozart / Levin playing the concerto. Well, how do you open a concert that has a Mozart concerto? Thought it would be interesting to have the great American New England iconoclast Charles Ives represented with his haunting Unanswered Question, a work for strings, 4 flutes, offstage trumpet, reflecting and intoning the very question for which the strings provide perhaps the answer. Charles Ives, as most of you know, was a towering figure at the start of the 20th century. Wrote music that sounds like it could have been written 2 weeks ago. His New England Triptych, which we did some seasons ago, a great work of voyages and journeys throughout New England. He lived most of his life in Danbury, Connecticut, where he worked as an insurance salesman, heavily influenced by the polyphony of his youth, sitting in fields listening to his dad's military band and the concert bands coming from all different directions. And you'll hear that poly everything in this very touching and haunting unanswered question. When you have a work of that kind of depth, though brief, and Levin's genius, how do you top that on the second half? Well, why not a Shostakovich symphony, which we have, of course, done a fair bit of over my time here. 2 seasons ago, you might remember the Leningrad 7th Symphony. Well, I think we're going to give you the most popular of Shostakovich's symphonies, his 5th Symphony, a work that he wrote in a kind of defiance to the Stalinists at the time, created it in such a way that they believed he was saluting them when in fact he was not. A work of great drama and power and strength, typical of what we've come to know of Shostakovich's bold, mature language. Oh yes, that 5th Symphony of Shostakovich clearly made Shostakovich the great symphonist of the 20th century at that time. I did the work here many years ago and look forward to bringing it back to you with Ives and Mozart. What a great program this weekend.